Good morning on what is a grey, cool and overcast day. It is Tuesday the 14th of June. I'm in the reading up with a nice hot cup of tea. And a stack of parcels to unbox, of which the third one I'm going to tackle is this, which is Mission Pack 2 Mutant Syndrome for Escape the Dark Sector. Now, Escape the Dark Sector is a board game for 1 to 4 players, which looks like we played solitaire, in which you attempt to escape from basically a prison aboard a giant space station and get back to your ship. Much in the style of the old Choose Your Own Adventure fighting fantasy solo books. And what you're doing is you and your fellow inmates or escapees are faced with a number of challenges. You turn over a chapter card, you face the encounter there, or might be a combat, or solve a problem, or deal with an NPC, and so on and so on until you get to the end and you escape. And so far, there are a total of 3 expansion packs. This is the second, Mutant Syndrome. So, exposed to mysterious mutagen, the bodies of large numbers of Dark Sector inhabitants have begun to gruesomely distort, as have your own. So Mutant Syndrome is an expansion pack for Escape the Dark Sector, introducing new rules and content to enhance your adventures. So here's what you can see on the back. So I'll just get a knife, slice it open. There we go. And starting off, open up the box, and there we've got the rulebook, the new rulebook for this expansion. So I'll come back to that in a moment. Beneath that, you've got the chapter cards. And then we've got 4 new dice and some item cards. So let's take a look at those. So let's start off with look at the chapter cards. So the great thing about Escape the Dark Sector and also Escape the Dark Castle, which is the fantasy themed forerunner to this game, is the artwork is fantastic. I mean, it's really great artwork which evokes the Fighting Fantasy series, and this is the end of level, essentially the end of game big boss, the Mutoid, who will make a great deal of use of the new mechanics. But also in here we have things, for example, there's a muffled roar from behind this cell door. A moment later, it is smashed clean off its mountings and sent spinning down the corridor towards you as a raging mutant prisoner bursts forth. So there you've got a combat encounter, and then the air grows thick with noxious fumes and your vision begins to swim as you press through a radioactive dumping ground. So a bit of a challenge to overcome in that one. What else? That's another combat one. And then a mutant man with a husky voice challenges the game with his own design. The pieces are reminiscent, eerily reminiscent of you and your fellow crew. So you have some sort of game that looks vaguely a cross between the Martian Pyramids game from the makers of Flux, or something like 3D chess from classic Star Trek, as played by Mr. Spock. So you just how good this artwork. So here you're dealing with another NPC, and so on and so on, all the way through, until essentially at the very end you will encounter the big boss, the Mutazoid. And then then we have the item cards. So we have a little rules reference. So there's the rules reference for mutations. What does this do? if your crew member doesn't have space for a newly drawn mutation card, you must discard items to trade them for or with other crew members to make space for it. But the mutation card doesn't count as items. And essentially, your mutation causes you to lose hit points between chapters. That's not good. And then we have some equipment cards. So we've got augmented healing implant and stun baton, life serum. So healing agents, not very many new items per se, as most of the cards are mutations like that. So once per game, after rolling your crew die, rotate to add a single might to your roll. Or once per game, rotate to block in close combat. Otherwise, you can actually have no effect on these cards as well. So there's a double effect. So depending upon how they are drawn. Once per game, when you would lose any amount of hit points as a result of re-rolling hit dice, rotate to lose none. So they give you advantages and disadvantages, which always good, like nice touch. Then you've got the dice, including clearly that's going to be your mutation dice. Got a nice big radiation symbol on there, and then we get to the rule book itself. So it does replicate a lot of the artwork of the cards, but you know it's nice to see it sort of like in bigger encounters, and then you open up and you have a full illustration of what's in the expansion, and then we have explanation of what that black die is, and it is the mutation die, which represents variable ways in which the mutant can take effect. If we roll when crew members mutate during events of certain chapter cards, and also determine the power of the combat special of the new boss in the pack, the Mutanoid. And again, much like the previous expansion, which was Twisted Tech, for max variety, each time you play, all content in the Escape the Dark Sector range is designed to be mixed together. The sets are themed. Okay, now they're themed rather than narrative packs. So they're not telling a particular story, they're adding theme and content. Here we've got the guidance for using mutations, and mutations need to be activated. So there are. It's a case of the cards. So as you can see, the cards do rotate. So you rotate them to you use them, you activate them, then rotate them, and then they have no effect on subsequent turns, because they can only be used once per game. And then we have new alien crew members, so you can actually play. This expands. This expands upon the number of options available in the core rules, because you only got like 4 of those, and they're modelled upon the 4 characters you find in Escape from the Dark Castle. Essentially, they are their science fiction long descendants. So here we've got the new alien crew members. So that adds another element of science fiction to the setting altogether. And of course, we've got a bit. And then you have a cybernetic upgrade, and the rules allow players to rip out their own current cybernetic upgrade and install this one or other ones in the expansion. So this is quite a nice short expansion. Essentially, it adds quite an interesting elements to gameplay, but it isn't. It's easy to bring to the mix and just sort of like add it into the current to the standard game. And then of course we've got sort of like a bit of an advert there for all of the content for both games. So that's Escape from the Dark Castle, Escape from the Dark Sector, and I reviewed the core game. and the first expansion I'm going to review this and then do unboxings, of course, including the large collector's box, which comes with its own content. So yes, altogether that is Escape the Dark Sector Mission Pack 2 Mutant Syndrome. So if you have liked this unboxing, then please do click on the like button down below. And of course, if you've got any comments or feedback, I appreciate you taking the time to post those. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to yet more unboxings in the Nook, where you'll see me out here with a box, or game, which I will unbox and chat about to the best extent of my knowledge, all of course accompanied by a nice hot cup of tea, then please do hit that subscribe button. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching another unboxing of the Nook. I'll be back again soon. Bye for now.